guys, how's it going? It's Al, and welcome back to the head-to-head battle in week 2. You thought I was going to say the Daily Fantasy Edge, didn't you? Well, I have two guests that we used to do a podcast together. Myself, CSU Ram, and the legendary Adam Levitan used to do the Daily Fantasy Edge every year. They meet me in the cage for a triple threat cage death match, but for charity, so it's nice. If you guys don't understand what the cage match is, if you're new to the channel, we draft head-to-heads, and in this case, we draft a 3-man. Now, if you're playing on Draftkings, if you play a head-to-head game, you may have overlap with 2, 3, 5, 7 of the players in your lineup. We cannot draft the same players. We're going to draft these teams snake style, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. If somebody gets picked, you cannot pick that player the rest of the way. So we're going to have 3 unique cash game style lineups for you, a different way to deliver daily fantasy content, and I hope that you guys like it. So let's go.
He's a legend.
Adam, Pete, how you guys doing, man?
Great.
Doing well, Al. Thanks for having us. You know, these guys wanted to play for charity, and I'm all for charity, but I'm also a terrible human. So I want the people to know that we're playing for charity and we're playing for some money on the side as well, because I have some might call it a problem, but we got to play for something on the side as well.
You don't have a gambling problem. You have a competition problem. But on today's show, Adam is going to be playing for the Morris Animal Foundation. There will be links below to all 3 charities right in the description. So just click show more in the description. Morris Animal Foundation. He has played for them every time that we have had him on the cage match. They're a great charity. If you wanted to donate to them, there's a link down below. Peter, you are playing for Charity Water, and specifically the Welly Maker, Drew Dinkmeyer's charity fundraising drive that he runs every single football season. He's doing it again this year. Shout out to Drew. And I will be playing for No Kid Hungry, providing school breakfasts and lunches to food insecure kids across the country. We are going to be playing for $1,000. The losers will donate $1,000 each to the charity of the winner's choice. Hopefully I can take this down again, so that I can knock out some of the money that we would like to raise for...
You've won a couple of years in a row, right?
2 in a row. 2-time, back-to-back, baby.
Of course. He does this every week. I come in here. I haven't looked at anything. I show up. I have no idea on the right strategy. Al's doing this every week.
And you lose every year. You get
He's a massive favorite.
I got
He's
second
a massive
last year.
favorite.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All
That's why I
right,
wanted to
Captain
play for a lot.
Sandbag. You got the first pick. So Captain Sandbag is up.
All
you
right.
can't emotionally free roll yourself in a charity game, Adam.
I'm all about the charity. Can't you tell? Okay. With my first pick, I think just from a quick look at the salary and pricing, I do not think that DraftKings adjusted enough on the Cam Akers, Daryl Henderson situation. And also I note that Kieran Williams was also going to be a threat, I think, to Daryl Henderson, but he's on IR now. Got hurt his ankle in the opening kickoff of that Thursday night game. And so I didn't see anything that's made me think that Cam Akers is going to get this job back. And therefore we have Daryl Henderson at 5,700 at home against the Falcons on a long week after the Falcons played a really tough game in division game against the Saints. And so I think the Rams can bounce back and play really well here. And with Daryl Henderson as a feature back at 5,700, I'll go ahead and take Daryl Henderson with my first pick.
Okay, so I have a question about that situation since we're here, and this is a deliverable in terms of fantasy football information. Is Cam Akers in the doghouse where like maybe he could recover stuff? Is he just not ready to go physically, or has he just straight up lost this job because of inefficiency last season?
I think they've seen a lot from him that they don't like, and they were clear about that after the game. You know, Sean McVay was asked what happened with Cam Akers. Oh, he's got a lot of stuff he needs to clean up. And I honestly, I think a lot of this is just a long way of saying, dude blew out his Achilles and he's never the same. And I know Peter can chime in on the Achilles stuff. We saw James Robinson come back and look good off the Achilles. We saw Sterling Shepard come back and look decent off the Achilles, but Cam Akers is clearly really struggling with it. So yeah, we actually just released our rest of season top 150, and we were aggressive with it. We bumped up Daryl Henderson into the 50s, and Akers is now down around 110, 120 or so.
There was like a 100 ADP gap between those two guys.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Shout out to the zero RB bros.
Yeah.
Daryl Henderson hit, CH hit, Miles Sanders hit. I mean,
James Robinson looks like a hit at 50%. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot. So yeah.
Pete, you're up. Who you got?
I was not expecting that pick.
I kind of was.
I thought there was a clear top 2, and I'm pretty torn. I wonder if Al will let this guy. I'll go with the obvious one, who I think is the play. Saquon Barkley. I know they bumped him up a little bit to 7,300, but just a massive role at home, and based on some aggregated projections and salary, he's the #1 value. It's really close to the next guy. I hope, Al, somehow you don't take him as well, but I'll go with Saquon at 73.
All right.
Were you going to take Saquon if I didn't, by the way?
I might have. I'm big on I've been huge on Saquon all offseason. I was drafting him when he was like 25 to 30 on ADP, and then he just kept moving up. Like I have like 30% Saquon in best ball because he was massively underpriced all year, because the public does not like to draft players. If somebody did something that was not good in a previous year or got unluckily injured in a previous year, they can't possibly draft him the next year, right? So like he stepped on a dude's foot and rolled his ankle. That was not like an injury prone situation. Saquon Barkley has no competition, absolutely going to crush. I didn't think that we were going to see him as cheap as 6,100 again after week 1 salary. I don't know if we're going to see him cheaper than 7,300 moving forward. This, like, he is an 8K player with the usage that he got last week. Adam, do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think there's systemic risk in the Giants offense. Like the pass game did not look good. They have no receivers. Like their offense could have the bottom fall out from it at any point. And so I think there's some risk there, but clearly Saquon's usage is undoubtedly 8K plus player.
Yeah, and volume for me over basically everything. Saquon's a good pick there. That puts me in a bind.
Don't do it, Al.
I don't know what to do. What do you mean don't do it? Like there's one route to go.
I really want. I thought Adam was going to take Saquon.
I might have to, like, God, this is dire. This is absolutely dire at this point.
2 picks in.
Yeah, I'm drawing
dire.
dead.
He hasn't even made a pick yet. It's dire.
I'm absolutely drawing dead. This is the worst thing that could have ever possibly happened, because like there's a great value pick, but it's a what if pick, and having this guy now does me no good, because if the player ahead of him plays, then he's not a value. If the player doesn't play, then he's a fantastic value. So I clearly can't take him. So I'm left with having to take like a thin value, but at least I know that he's on the field, and I'm going to go with Zay Jones.
Okay.
And I know that Adam is probably absolutely loving that. 4,300. Look, it looks like Trevor Lawrence has a man crush on Zay Jones. He basically looked his way the entire game. Second in targets on the team behind Christian Kirk, but coming in way cheaper than Christian Kirk, and got 3 end zone targets. He's like the safety blanket right now. Josh Norris kind of nailed this all through August, and it came true in week 1. Right now, Zay Jones is the guy when Trevor Lawrence needs to find somebody who's open that he just kind of goes straight to. So like, he's not a flashy player, but he provides me enough value on this slate to allow me to possibly get up to the higher guys if they are left to me down the road. But now, because you both took a running back, I think that I have to go with a running back in this spot to not be left with absolute dust at the position. So I'm stuck between one of 2 guys, I think. I'm going to go with the one that I project to have higher volume, and that's going to be Leonard Fournette. Uncle Lenny, Adam was never going to pick Leonard Fournette. It was only whether or not Pete was going to take him. I'm going to take Fournette at 6,700, just absolutely too cheap. Once that game got out of hand, then they started bringing in the backup running backs, but for the first, like, 3.5 quarters, it was basically all the Leonard Fournette show. He looked rather spry, running for 127 yards in week 1. 6,700 is just too cheap. And look, we have the narrative, or the reality, that no matter who is out for Tampa Bay, and Godwin expected to be out in this game, Mike Evans sure as hell ain't going to get loose. So where else are they going to throw the ball? I'm hoping for some extra targets going Fournette's way.
Why would I not take? Why you say I wouldn't take Leonard Fournette? Leonard Fournette is his role is outrageous.
You hate him with the passion of 1,000 suns.
That is false. I love Uncle Lenny. False.
Since
false.
when?
False. When we said that he would get cut from the Jaguars, and he did. He did. But when you play running back for the Bucs with Tom Brady, it's like impossible to fail. You get so many red zone. One thing I'll say on Lenny for this week, he limped off in that game that was already out of hand. Yeah. He did limp off and Rachaad White finished. I think he'll be fine, but you knew you were taking that risk. So if Lenny ends up limited or not playing, you have to eat it, I think.
No, I can. If a player is out on the weekend, you can sub them out.
No, you knew that you took the risk. You saw that.
Less. I did not take him expecting him to be out. I thought he was going to be in. There's another player. It's a wide receiver that's a massive value that may or may not be the best value on the slate, depending on a guy that's in front of him.
Well, You guys left. I got my 2 favorite picks with the first, and I'm so shocked that this guy didn't go already. I know he's expensive, but Devonte Adams is like just a smash button this week. 17 targets last week, highest total of the week by far at 51. Arizona just got shredded by Kansas City, and I think this is a really, really good spot for a game stack overall. Tons of pieces I like in this game. And Devonte Adams, if he sees a similar, I don't expect him to see 17 targets, but if he's going to see, 12 plus targets a week, he's going to be a 9K plus receiver up there with Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson all year, and someone I have a ton of exposure to in best ball. So Devonte Adams.
Pete's broke. No money left. He's Saquon and Devonte. He's broke.
Give me the best plays. I have projections in front of me. My top 2 values are Saquon and Devonte. So
Devonte is quite good. The question is, how sustainable is a 46% target market share, Adam?
24 points isn't even that high. I mean, it's high, but it's not like crazy high.
Yep. Well,
who are you going to spend up on the slate, bud? You want to take
relax.
Cooper Kupp for 99?
Relax.
It's already off the rails.
Relax. You worry about your team. You're gonna need.
You were just talking shit about my team.
You're gonna need to ask Aguiar for some extra salary. You can't
I got some value. Don't you worry.
58,000 in remaining salary for Peter.
Okay.
Daryl Henderson, 1 first pick.
All right, you're up, Adam. 2 picks.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and solidify my running back spot by going with a guy who I had some concerns about his pass game usage. They did the right thing in week 1, did the Cincinnati Bengals, by using Joe Mixon extensively, even though they were losing, even though they were in 2-minute for much of the game. And now they get this Dallas team, which I do have a lot of respect for Dallas defense, especially Micah Parsons, shout out Penn State. But Joe Mixon as a true 3-down workhorse on this team. I mean, Bengals are so good. I think Joe Mixon's actually really good in the pass game, even though they haven't used him that much there lately. And so I'll go Joe Mixon, 7,200 for my first one.
36 opportunities is a lot.
They did run 100 plays. And so when we talk about the Bengals, we need to couch it by saying that they did run 100 plays. So everything looks inflated on the Bengals. But yeah, I just thought the usage was really, really good for him. For my next trick.
Such a donkey you are. My next trick.
For my next trick. Oh, God. Okay. See, I haven't looked at injury stuff at all. God.
I know who you're looking at right now.
No, what I'm looking at right now is trying to see who's actually going to play this week.
All day long to look while Al and I are picking, giving analysis. You can't
this is a terrible trick so far.
For my next trick, I'm going to wait 5 minutes and read the internet.
You guys,
my whole job is to do.
You guys didn't tune in to see me read the internet? Are you sure? Okay. You know what? I will go with another running back, giving me 3 running backs start, which might be
staying on brand, establishing the run here in the cage,
which might not be the best.
Might not.
Oh my God! Make a pick.
Okay, I'll just go with the guy I love. I've loved all the time. DeAndre Swift. He's my boy.
Yeah.
He'll ride me to victory.
Good pick. I was going to take him if you didn't, but I had a backup plan, and that's Antonio Gibson. See, I'm ready to go. Adam takes 5 minutes. I take 2 seconds. Give me Antonio Gibson, 6,200, tons of pass volume. Detroit, Washington, that game looks juicy to me. Wentz, Goff, both those guys, late round QBs that had a lot of value. Gibson, 8 targets last week. We'll see.
He did, like, the most passing yards and the most targets and catches that he's ever had in a game, right? Like, this is a guy that should have been used consistently in the passing game, and he got McKissicked for the last couple of seasons. So probably because of his lack of pass blocking acumen. But you know, if you're gonna have him in on passing downs, just don't make him block. Just run him in a route, right? Then you don't have to worry about him not being able to pass block.
I think I wanted Swift. I was going to spend all the money in the first 3 picks and then dumpster dive, but Gibson, good pick on Swift. That's your first good pick, Adam. I like your team. I'm just talking.
We got a long way to go here, buddy. I mean, I'm running out of money, but you're definitely running out of money,
buddy. I can win my first 3 players.
All right, I'm gonna look for a player that I think is still of value. I mentioned him last week. I had a problem with this guy at ADP, but like he looked pretty stellar in week 1, and I think that he's still gonna look stellar moving forward. And he's going to have good matchups because, you know, he plays in a really bad division, and that's Michael Pittman Jr., who Pete reminded me was a combination of Keenan Allen and who else?
A-Rob.
And Allen
A-Rob
Robinson.
might not be a good comp after week 1, but
A-Rob hopefully he's more, or Allen's out. So like, this is a trash pick. I'm going to go with Michael Pittman Jr. I think that he's going to get a lot of targets every single week. When it came to ADP, this is what I always have to remind people of, right? It's never about the player. It's always about the price. The price in daily fantasy is still very reasonable at 6,700 with the expected targets from him of like 8+ every single week in, week out. And the fact that like his ADP, he was priced around all these other players at the same price tag, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. There was a bunch of them in that range. Mike Williams, who had the same or higher projections that Michael Pittman did. This is not season long though. This is the cage. I'm going to take Michael Pittman. I'll take the targets with him and Zay Jones and Leonard Fournette and everything else coming this way. And based on the fact that Pete has no money, that allows me to do a couple of things that I like with this lineup. And I'm going to lock one thing up. And I normally don't do this, but I think that this is a better spot than the other ones.
no.
And it's a 3-man game.
No,
So doing these different things, you have to change things up from a normal head-to-head cage match. In the triple threat, I'm going to go defense, and I'm going to go defense early, and I'm going to pick the Cincinnati Bengals at 2,200.
Oh, that was
Cooper
my next
Rush.
pick. You don't have to worry about Adam, but Al just 2 great picks. I needed.
I was gonna take Bengals defense. I already have Mixon. I was gonna take Bengals defense.
Oh, I wanted Bengals defense so bad. I was about to gloat about saving money, and then Al just takes it. I also like Pittman. God. Now I'm gonna have to read the internet. Oh, that was a critical piece.
Usually I will not pick a defense until the last spot, but like looking at the value defenses this week, DraftKings did a really good job in week 1 of pricing those really low, 2,400 and down. Obviously the Steelers smashed, and like at 2,600, Miami did really well. But like you look at the bottom defense outs, the Falcons 10-point dogs, the Texans 10-point dogs, the Bengals 6-point favorites against the backup QB, the Jets in the slowest game with no dropbacks ever, Jaguars against again massive dogs, and then like the Dolphins against Lamar. So they're the only really cheap defense that I actually feel comfortable playing against a team that's going to have to drop back a ton against.
Number 1 value based on my projections, and fantasy points per dollar, 3.53 points per dollar for the Bengals. Desperately needed them to after spending all the money. I was going to gloat. That might be it.
That might be the backbreaker.
That's it.
That's gonna do it.
He took a
I had a
defense.
chance.
That's it.
I'm done.
Get Kalish on the phone. Pete needs more money on his salary cap.
I'm gonna have to call Jag. I need some money badly.
So where are you going now?
I was so excited to make that pick and just like do a windmill and just gloat, and golly.
I kind of sensed that there was a spidey sense tingling right there. I knew that something was. I was like, I need to take advantage of the backup.
I knew you needed running backs, so I didn't want. I think there's a pretty big fall off after the running backs we've already taken. So I guess you just wait. There's a couple good plays, but I did need to save some money. I'm going to stack this game a little bit potentially. I'm going to go Jahan Dotson, who I think is a fine play. I don't think he's a great play. I was excited about the Bengals. 4,200. Need to save some money. There's some other cheap guys, some cheap rookies, but I was encouraged. I drafted a lot of him. Really talented player. 5 targets is not ideal, but I do think he'll see a lot of opportunity in the red zone. And yeah, I mean, coming off 2 touchdowns is impressive. So 4,200, that should be a good game.
I mean, look, this is a game that I think from a GPP perspective is going to be extremely popular. You have 2 commanders on your lineup right now. How do you feel?
I feel great.
I feel great.
I wanted the Bengals bad right there. Yeah. Bad.
That leaves Adam up for 2. Have you done reading the internet, Adam?
I've been reading the internet. What could go wrong reading the internet? I'll go ahead and save some money here quickly. I'll go with Albert O, who I've actually thought had pretty good usage in that game on Monday night. He played on about 2/3 of the snaps, ran about 2/3 of the routes, and I thought he actually played well. And so, I know they did a lot of stuff with Seibert. I know they did a lot of stuff with Beck, but when the chips were down, Albert O was the one out there. He's only 3,700 against the Texans. So I don't need to save money as badly as Peter, but I do need to save some money. And so Albert O for my first trick.
How do you pronounce his last name?
Kunabanam.
Pete?
I'm not going to try.
You're not going to try? Is it Akuegbunam? I've
It's
been
better
saying
than Adams.
Aquabunam for like 2 years, and now it's not. Now it's like it's like the way is the emphasis needs to be on the way.
Okay. For my next trick,
Mm-hmm.
I will go with a guy who I actually think I know Al took Zay Jones already at cost. I understand that there's a $1,400 difference. Even at $1,400, I still think that Christian Kirk's a better play this week than Zay Jones. And I have no problem with Zay Jones. Actually, some of my best ball stuff. Well, it's only been 1 week.
Some of my best friends play Zay Jones.
It's the Trevor Lawrence doubles. But anyways, I'll go with Christian Kirk here. Who I mean, there's no shower narrative going on here, but it almost feels like there is, because in the preseason finale, Christian Kirk had 38% target share with Trevor Lawrence, and in the first game of the year, he was up around 30% also. And so clearly something clicking between Lawrence and Kirk. I will go with Christian Kirk.
Is there any point in this season where we say, Christian Kirk was obviously worth the money? Jacksonville knew what they were doing.
I don't think we can say that, but I do think that people went too far and were like, he got too much money, he sucks. Well, he can get too much money and also still be good. I mean, it's
first of all, I never fault players for getting a lot of money.
Oh, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, right. Like I'm just saying that I wasn't saying that you were. I was not implying that you were doing that. But the public hates it when players get a lot of money. I like it when every player gets the maximum amount of money that they can, while also being able to say that doesn't work within the salary cap. I'm looking at you, Cowboys, with Ezekiel Elliott. But in Christian Kirk's defense, like, they needed a guy. He was the best guy. He secured the bag. I'm totally fine with that.
Oh, and you got to overpay to get people to come to Jacksonville, period. Like, it's not like going to Miami or whatever. You got to overpay to get guys to go to Jacksonville. It is what it is. And yeah, I'd rather players get more money than who wants owners to get more money. That's like giving Al more money. You want players. You want people like me. You want the grinders out there getting money. You don't want the owners out there getting money.
Pete, you're up. Just pain every time he has to make a pick.
I really needed that Bengals. There's like 3 guys that I'm debating.
Talk us through it.
I mean, you're up next.
Okay, well, talk us through one of the picks.
Well, I got to figure out which one I'm going
Reveal the
with
4
first.
guys you're thinking about drafting to Al before.
Al, you have Fournette, and that's it at running back, right?
Currently, I have Leonard Fournette, Zay Jones, Michael Pittman, and the Bengals defense.
That is dust.
The pick
Bengals
of the draft.
No, see, Al's doing this right. Al has flexibility, optionality, money to spend. That Bengals defense is just the ultimate chess move.
I'd rather lock up my defense than my flex this early.
All right. I'm going to go. Let me just this is a really tough choice at receiver. I'm going to go Jerry Jeudy, who I think is, obviously they didn't change his price after the Broncos game against Houston at home. Should be good weather this weekend. I thought the Broncos offense looked really good. 2 fumbles at the 1-yard line. It's not ideal. But I think they're going to move the ball really efficiently. And after last week, it's going to be tough to kind of pinpoint who to stack Russ with. I think obviously the Sutton Bible narrative is interesting, but Judy's so talented. You watch him play. He's just so elusive, and 5,600, I expect him to be a high 6K receiver at the end of the year. And it's a good matchup against Houston.
One of my highest exposures in best ball this summer was Jerry Jeudy. I was drafting Cortland Sutton when he was going around behind Jeudy, and then when he just gassed by him around more, I was drafting more Jeudy than Sutton. I think that they're going to be close. Like, I think that people have already kind of made up their mind after 1 week because of a 67-yard touchdown that Jeudy is going to be like the guy now, where before they were totally clear that Sutton was going to be the guy. I just think they're going to be very close in terms of target market share, maybe within 3% of one another for the entire year. But Jeudy is going to be fine. You know what I really like? No, go ahead.
Real quick. I'll just give mine out because I was debating a couple things. I think, you take whoever's cheaper out of Jeudy and Sutton. Maybe we'll get more information throughout the year. I do think Sutton has a little bit more deep ball upside, with Russ, but Jeudy should get more targets, or maybe similar targets. I think they're close, but he's 500 cheaper, so that was an easy decision. I'm probably not going to be able to get this guy, but I was really close between Deontay Johnson, who got 12 targets.
Don't give Al ideas. He's on the clock.
Yeah, I don't care about you, bud. I'm done. I can't take him.
Al's on the clock.
Deontay Johnson versus Jeudy was a very tough call. I needed the 200 though for some of these combos, so I went with Jeudy. almost took Deontay Johnson. I hope I just totally burned you, Adam.
What do you mean burn me? You're burning yourself. Al's on
I
the
can't
clock.
get him. I can't afford him. Okay, so I'm done. That's why I started doing the math, bud.
Al's up, right? Not me, right?
I'm up.
Yeah,
for
that's why I
2.
did it. If it was you who was up, I wouldn't give you any ideas. But
I'm
Al,
up for 2.
I'm trying to give Al ideas. Your team's dust. Al's gonna beat us.
And you've locked up your flex, Adam. So like he knows you need a wide receiver.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, of course.
So the thing that I wanted to say here about Denver, around Jeudy, I know that everybody is all over Hackett right now, but I like the fact that he came out and said, I made a mistake. We should have gone for it. We're on to week 2.
Yeah.
Do you like or hate that?
Oh, of course. It's great. Honesty's always the best policy. Everything in life.
Like I screwed up. I got caught up in the moment, made a bad decision, and we're going to move forward. I like it a lot, you know? Like he clearly screwed up, but like I like what he did a lot there in that particular situation. All right. So saying that I like it a lot and that he admitted that he made a mistake and that moving forward, he should do things a little bit differently. I really liked the first half usage of Javonte Williams. He kind of outsnapped and outtouched Melvin Gordon like 3-1 in the first half. And Williams is 6,500 in week 2, going back home, not playing against Seattle in their Super Bowl in week 1, but playing at home in Russ's first game there. The boos should be cheers in Denver that he saw coming out. Hopefully he doesn't like, what was Russell doing, Pete? Like giving high fives to fake crowd members at the last practice? What the hell was that?
I mean, Russ.
Such a herb.
Yeah.
Absolutely the corniest quarterback in the history of the league.
The reality he really, and shout out to Matt Davidow and other people who have been kind of bearish on Russ. I still think he can be good, but his superpower, what made him an elite top 5 quarterback for so many years, was his escapability. And you look at how much time he created and how much time he had to throw. That was a big reason he was so successful. And, you know, you'd see Doug Baldwin getting these long touchdowns where Russ made multiple people miss. He's not making people miss with that same spin move. And I think that's the concern for Russ long term. But a lot of good pieces around him. And yeah, he's a herb, I guess is the best way to put it. He's just such a Shelby Harris, who I got to do a cool DraftKings experience. Ashley and I got to eat at a steakhouse with him. Really nice dude. I've seen him at basketball games. He was part of the trade for Russell Wilson, and they won. And he walked off with a "Let's ride" after the game. So that was pretty funny.
You know, I'm in a weird salary spot right now with this team. I think that there is 2 clear-cut plays, high floor, high ceiling plays, but I don't think I can get to them. At least not optimally. Like I'd have to completely take a bath at one position. I'd rather not do that. However, in a 3-man game, it might be worth it. Chat is correct, Pete. I had heard of Deontay Johnson before, and he is quite good. He's always going to get a ton of targets. Always going to get a ton of targets in that offense. My choice is between going with a more balanced approach. I think that's the way that I have to go, to be honest. So like Deontay Johnson is the path to the more balanced approach. And then there's a different way I can go that gets me a more Starsy Scrubsy look at things. I'm going to lock up Deontay Johnson in this spot because it gives me a little optionality, as you would say, Peter, that I can still go stars and scrubs if I want to. I think I have enough potential catches out of my running backs to be solid. I think I've got maybe 30 targets coming out of my 3 wide receivers. And I'll kick it back to you for your next pick.
I'm up, right?
No, you're not.
Up.
I'm up. Buddy.
I haven't picked.
You made your 2.
You had to wait.
Then he went for 1, and then I went for 2, and now it's back to him for 1, and then you get 2. That's how snake drafts work.
We're gonna be here all goddamn day. Let's pick it up.
You were the one.
You're the one who's taking the most time. Not even close. Jeez.
How many players do you have, Peter?
5.
I have 5.
This is his 6th.
All right, go ahead.
4,500 in
buddy,
salary.
I was
remaining.
going to take Johnson maybe. I didn't think it made sense because I couldn't really afford it. So I'm going to give myself some optionality. Maybe
That's the word of the show.
God, I want to take a guy so bad. All right, fuck it. I'm doing it. I'm going to take George Pickens, who didn't have a very good volume day in the first game, but I need to save some money.
Yeah.
Bet on talent, 3,600. I think the targets will even out between Claypool, Pickens. Obviously, Deontay's going to be the number 1 target hog, but I'll bet on talent. Definitely some concerning usage, but I think there's more opportunity for him going forward.
So Pete locks up his flex with Pickens. We come back to Adam for a double. Adam with his flex and his tight end locked up.
Okay. I am going to stick with the balance theme here. And I'm going to use my first pick on Julio Jones, who I actually thought looked really good in that game. And obviously now there's a lot more opportunity with Chris Godwin out. So the Bucs clearly were not pushed at all. They're on the road in the Dome in New Orleans. We obviously have the stuff with Mike Evans going on with his cornerback matchup. And so I think Julio at 5,500, old man Julio at 5,500. Maybe we can get one last Mount St. Julio eruption here out of Julio. And
I
then,
just picked up his legendary card in Rainmakers this morning for like $800.
I don't really know if that's good or bad, but
it's very good. It's like almost half price.
You want to play him this week? Is that what that means?
I mean, it was too cheap. I could probably flip it if I want to, but like I'm probably going to play him in a Brady lineup.
All right. And for my last wide receiver spot, I'm going to go with the guy that I've been on for, 3 months. I mean, started off in the 6th round, then the 5th round, then the 4th round. I saw him go even in the 3rd round, came out and dominated once again. The Cooper Kupp of the NFC North, the sun god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And now I have Swift and Amon-Ra at home against Washington football team. Shout out to me.
Yeah. So like that whole game is basically you two guys. If Washington scores a ton, then Pete does well. If Detroit scores a ton, then you do well.
Yeah. This is the best team I've ever had in this thing. Normally I'm like a total disaster. This is the best team I've had. Shout out to me.
This is your year.
This is it.
All right. I'm going to go with Darren Waller, the tight end, who's been expensive. But I think it's a good spot. 6 targets last week, had a wide open touchdown of Carr through a better pass. So Darren Waller,
5,600, leaving Pete with, let's see, Pete's got 8,900 remaining for a defense and a quarterback, more than enough money. Adams got 8,700 for a defense and a quarterback, more than enough money. I have a tight end, a flex, and then if I want to take a quarterback of my choosing, I can do that. So I don't need to take a tight end. That's for damn sure. At least not right now. Which leaves me with a couple of, it leaves me with Pete. It leaves me with optionality.
It does.
I'm
so tilted about the defense. I wouldn't have had to take in freaking Pickens if you would have left me the Bengals. So mad about that.
I can get way
I thought that
different.
was a sneaky pick.
Okay, so I usually don't like to get this frisky when it comes to my quarterback, but knowing that you guys have to take one, I don't know if you were looking in this range, but I feel like I have to. And also, based on the teams that were chosen, I do think Derek Carr is probably the best quarterback on the slate from a value perspective, really high team total, 6,200. But with Pete having his 2 best targets, for like me to win in that situation with Carr, I'd have to have him throw like 3 touchdowns and none of them be to Adams or Waller. So like, I'm not going to do that, which puts me on a really weird spot. And it's Trey Lance.
I think he's the best value potential. I mean, based on the projections, but
he could end any week as the QB1. He could end any week as the QB1. I hope that they don't use him as like a Tim Tebow, what's his name? Taysom Hill, where they just pound him into the line when they're going to run him. At least let him get outside with those long legs and like really stretch him out and let him be a gazelle instead of just, being a rhino plowing into the line every single time. I love that they ran him 13 times. Obviously, we're not going to have a monsoon situation. They go back home instead of being in Chicago. They play a team coming off of the highest high that they could possibly have, the biggest bulletin board game that they ever had. This is a great spot for Trey Lance, especially considering that they are looking at guys who are bagging groceries to play running back, with Elijah Mitchell being on the IR now. Maybe it's Wilson. Maybe they get Marlon Mack because they just signed him, or maybe it's somebody else. TDP comes off of a healthy scratch to being the guy. But like, Trey Lance could have a monstrous game this week, throw for a touchdown, run for 1, and run for like 75 yards. At 5,700, he's too cheap. And now I've got 6,000 remaining for 2 spots. I feel like I need to get a little bit of separation in this spot. So I'm going to try and go for a little bit of a ceiling play with these last 2 picks. There's one that I know you can't get, which would leave me in this range. I want to have some exposure to this Rams game. The right pick right now, based on projections, would be DJ Moore. But when have you guys ever known me to do the right thing? I'm not doing the right thing. I'm going to go with Allen Robinson. I believe in the talent. I also believe that the Bills played a ton of zone. The Rams have the best zone beater in the world in Cooper Kupp. And Allen Robinson's one of the best press coverage and man-to-man beating wide receivers that exist. I think that he's going to get off of it this weekend against Atlanta's cornerbacks, who, yeah, they're pretty good on a man-to-man basis, but you put Allen Robinson against any cornerback, he's going to win. They also have to feed him the ball and introduce him to this offense. You can't have another week where you only get your new toy 2 targets. I think he has a massive bounce back week. 15 plus DraftKings points incoming for A-Rob. I have 6,600 to spend on a tight end, and you don't. So guess who my tight end's going to be, Chad? But
just put in Mark Andrews now. We don't even have to do it.
That's fine. There you go.
Perfect.
It's gonna be Mark Andrews. Like I said, I'm gonna go for
just
ceiling.
Put him in. It's fine.
Gonna go for ceiling with Robinson's touchdown potential and Andrews' touchdown potential and Trey Lance. I think that's what I need to do.
No one can take him. Just take you can take all your picks right now. That's
He's
perfect.
In.
I'm taking Derek Carr, obviously, with Adams and Waller. So Adam, go ahead, bud.
Setting up the double stack. Okay. Yeah, so my choices for stacks here, and I actually don't think that it's necessary to stack
you don't have to
in a 3-man like this whatsoever, but I do have options with Goff, with the Sun God, and DeAndre Swift, or I could go Brady to Julio in the Dome. We have Brady about 2.2 points ahead right now of Goff. Obviously, I could play a much, much, much better defense, but I'm going to go for the ceiling game with Brady, and hopefully he gets into a shootout with Mr.
Jameis, yeah.
And then at 2,300, I think there's 2 defensive options. I guess I'm not going to talk through it because Peter hasn't taken a defense yet, correct?
No, he has a defense.
I have 2,700. I'm not going to take one of your $2,300.
Okay, so to me,
$2,300 defenses.
To me, the 2 punts are either Miami, who actually has like a legit good defense against Lamar, who kind of but didn't look like he was too excited to run the ball in week 1, or the Jets, who I think and Thorne thinks has like a top 5 pass rush in the NFL against the Browns. Of course, the Browns are going to try to establish the shit out of the run, but doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I think it's really close actually between Dolphins.
So which one do you want?
And Jets.
This is for all the charity money.
I know. Plus the money on the side, which, I'll go Dolphins.
Going Dolphins for the charity money and the side pot. Pete, your final pick?
Yeah, I don't feel great about it, but I'm going to go with the Lions. And I know I have 2 Washington players, but I'm hoping they just catch passes. I mean, Wentz is known for giving up a lot of sacks, throwing a lot of interceptions at home. I was really impressed with the Detroit team, and it's kind of hard to tell how good of a defense they have. I mean, the Eagles, I think, are just going to be awesome all year. Brandon Thorne has them as their number 1 offensive line. Hard to get pressure on them. So many weapons, so many ways to run the ball. Just a different thing. And my sense of this game is that it'll be a little bit sloppier, but there's a lot of really good players. And I definitely think you can play, especially pass catching guys against defenses. So I'm going with the Lions.
All right. So Pete's team: Derek Carr, Saquon Barkley, Antonio Gibson, Devonte Adams, Jahan Dotson, Jerry Jeudy, Darren Waller, George Pickens in the Lions defense. Adams' team is Tom Brady, Daryl Henderson Jr., Joe Mixon, Kirk, Jones, Amon-Ra, the Sun God, St. Brown, Albert O, Swift, and the Dolphins defense. My team: Trey Lance, Fournette, Javonte Williams, Zay Jones, Pittman, Deontay Johnson, Mark Andrews, Allen Robinson II, and the Bengals D. Let us know in the replies who you thought win, guys. Thank you for being here. Love working with you guys as always. Go check out all the great stuff they have over at establishtheRun.com. There's a link in the description, smizzle.tv/ETR. And you guys have kicked off the 3 Donkeys podcast again, yeah?
It's on a bit of a hiatus right now. Just been a little busy with the season starting, but hopefully restart again soon.
So you were on a big hiatus, then you did a couple episodes. Now you're on another hiatus.
Yes. The hiatuses are early and often, yes.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. On hiatus. Look out for another video right there. All right. We're off hiatus, and we're back on hiatus now.
What is this? The Truman Show? You're just always on camera? I mean, what the fuck?
It's like a live radio show with no commercial breaks. Well, there's commercial breaks, but I don't get one.
Who did chat think? I got to go in like 2 minutes, but who did chat think won?
Chat, who won? They'll let you know. They're on like a 5-second delay. Chat, which team do you like? Me, Pete, or Adam?
Pete's going to be talking about this Bengals D thing for the next 5 years.
5 years.
So some people are picking. Some people are picking, but GCT says not Pete.
Oh, buddy, wait till you see this Raiders stack. It's gonna go nuclear.
Yeah, Raiders are in a great spot, man. Arizona's secondary is just
bad.
That was my whole plan, and I was planning this whole thing. I think Waller's a little undervalued right now, but man, I have 2 really, really risky picks. I definitely have more stars and scrubs than you guys.
So
Pickens
you want to
and
know the
Dotson.
value play that I can't pick yet?
I
Get
want to
Dortched.
pick Hayden Hurst.
Yeah,
Get
Greg
Dortched.
Dortch. That's why I was looking for information on Rondale, but they don't practice today for another like 4 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like
saw
that's
the
why
same
I couldn't
thing.
pick Dortch. But like we were on our community was on Dortch last week because like he was the guy that played slot during the preseason and everything. It's like I thought that him and Dotson were the two best value plays on Friday and Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Of
I
those
didn't play
cheap
Dortch.
guys.
I didn't have the courage to play Dortch, but I definitely
I had like 20% Dortch in the Millionaire Maker.
I played him in preseason so many times.
I like him. I was
Preseason
looking at
hero.
him for
You
this
should have been
pick.
all over him.
I know. I just have no faith in Cliff whatsoever. But Dortch was a great play for sure, especially with everybody on Marquise who's like just can't like he's not a guy that can like load bear like 15 targets, you know.
By the way, the new Call of Duty beta comes out this weekend. So last week was a double XP weekend and Kyler had a down week. And like now it's the Call of Duty beta weekend. Like Kyler, if Kyler has another bad week, the narratives are going to be flying.
Time to kill some zombies.
All right, guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Be good. Good to see
So
you. Al.
fun.
Take care, man.
Yeah.
Good luck this week, guys. See ya.
Later.
Bye.
Going out to dinner with Adam is just so embarrassing. What this guy orders is just.
Do you have butter noodles?
We go to these nice places and Adam just like wants like a piece of bread. I mean, it's just embarrassing.
Can I
This
get
guy.
some bread and butter and maybe some macaroni and cheese?
Dude, how good is bread, butter, and water though? That's really all you need. I could do well in prison. Just bread and water.
You do fine in the
Clip
mess hall,
that.
but like
Is that-
the rest of the prison life, you might struggle.
I think Adam would struggle big time in prison. I think I would struggle worse though. So
I don't want nothing to do with prison.
I think I'm in the worst shape there.
Always a fun show. Always a fun show. So nobody thinks Pete won, basically.
He's a legend.